Hey, I'm Dave with Playthrough Board Games, and we're taking a look at Mice and Mystics Downwood Tales. What's going on here is my party is having a treetop battle with some firebelly newts who want to stop us from further exploring and finding our new home in the wild. My party isn't going to take this lying down, so let's see how they deal with this threat and how they progress forward in this adventure. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy Mice and Mystics Downwood Tales. Alright. Before we get too far, I should let you know how we got into this predicament here. These are the new encounter cards over here for Mice and Mystics Downwood Tales. Since you will own other sets of this game if you're playing Mice and Mystics Downwood Tales, you are free to shuffle the older encounter cards into the encounter deck. However, that is not a requirement of this game. Regardless of your choice, you will flip an encounter card and find out what it says for the page number you are on. In this case, we are on page 1 of the story here, so we will be encountering the page 1 encounter, which in this case was 3 newts. Once you have determined which enemy you will be encountering, you take your initiative cards and the initiative card for the enemy or enemies you will be encountering and shuffle them together. Then you deal them out, and this determines the turn order unless something else gets added into the mix here. So that's how we got off to the start of facing firebelly newts. Let's take a look at combat. This is our party of heroes here. So they all fit on this basic starting space up here, and this is determined by the scenario rules that you are playing with. Then enemies may enter on one of 2 enemy entry spaces. There is one in this corner, which you will see I am not using, and then one farther down that I am using. Again, these characters are following the entry rules for enemies. Ranged enemies will enter further away from your party to avoid you being able to close the range quickly and defeat them more easily with melee attacks. Fortunately for us, 2 of our party members have ranged attacks, Jakobe and our friend over here, Lily, the archer. So these are both archer characters, and they will be able to shoot at our enemy archers over at the bottom corner of this tile. It is Jakobe's turn first, so he will take the first shot. At the beginning of a hero's turn, that hero rolls 1 die in order to determine how far that hero can move. This die has a 1 on it, so I may move 1 space plus my innate movement. Jakobe's innate movement is 3, which we will see on his character card in a moment, and this gives him a total potential movement of 4. All we are concerned about with Jakobe is that he will be able to move to see the enemy characters, so there cannot be certain types of obstructions for his character. Otherwise, he will not be able to attack. Let's take a look at Jakobe's card, and then we'll attack. This is Jakobe's card here. He has normally 2 attack, 1 defense, 1 lore, and 3 movement. He has a couple effects that I cover in more detail in my initial video, and you can see those pictured here. His initial equipment is a boomerang and a leaf vest, and he has 3 health. Let's take a look at his boomerang, since that's what we'll be using to attack. When attacking with this boomerang, if the target figure is not defeated by the first attack, make an additional attack against the figure using just 1 action die. This is to represent that my boomerang will return. Since I have no cheese at this point in the game, I cannot use my special ability. Let's move, and then we will attack. You will note that the spaces in Mice and Mystics are a little bit more indistinct than you may be used to with other board games. However, there are still clear contrast. So, for example, I have just moved 2 spaces, and I can clearly see the enemies that I am trying to attack, and I will now make my attack roll against one of these firebelly newts. Let's take a look at what I'm trying to attack here. The firebelly newts have 2 defense. That means they will roll 2 dice to try and prevent damage from my attack. However, they have no health, as indicated by the no hearts in that little box at the bottom. Seeing as they have no hearts in that little box at the bottom, 1 hit will be enough to defeat them. Jakobe is now going to roll his attack dice. Alright, the important thing that I needed to roll here was this ranged attack symbol. Unfortunately, I've only rolled one of them. Fortunately, I have rolled a cheese, which means I do get to acquire a cheese. Cheese can be used to activate special abilities throughout your adventure. You will lose cheese if your character is ever captured or defeated, which we will go over as needed. In this case, I have had one successful hit against one of our firebelly newts, and they will try to defend with their 2 dice. The firebelly newt has successfully defended against my attack. There are 2 shield symbols on this. Fortunately for us, based on the special rule of my boomerang, I get one more chance because it's going to come back and hopefully smack this firebelly newt in the back of the head. I did not succeed. I have rolled a melee symbol, not the required ranged attack symbol, and so Jakobe's attack sadly failed. Next on the initiative track is Colin. Colin is going to try and move and close range with these firebelly newts in a physical combat in order to defeat them. Let's see how far he gets to move. So he has rolled a 3, the number in the upper corner there, and he can move quite far now. His initial movement, based on his card, is 2, so he can move a total of 5. He has 2 attack, 1 shield, and 2 lore, should those come into play. So he may move up to 5 spaces. He's going to try to close range with our enemies here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and he can move on to the space with the firebelly newts. Since there are only 3 of them on the space, there is room for 1 more small figure, and Colin closes range with them. Now he's going to attempt to put the hurt on the firebelly newts. Okay, so Colin here has a base attack of 2. He also has a special ability called Born to Lead. When placing cards on the initiative track, if Prince Colin is not in the first initiative spot, immediately add 1 cheese to his stash. Seeing as he was not in the first initiative spot, we will now add that 1 cheese, and we will continue with his attack. So we take a cheese token and give it to Colin. So he now has a cheese token. At this point, he may attempt an attack. He has a weapon named Colin's Sword here. Colin's Sword, as you can see in the symbol in the upper right-hand corner, adds a +1 to his attack. So instead of merely rolling 2 dice to attack, we get the opportunity to roll 3. We will see if we can overcome the 2 defense that the firebelly newts have. He'll be attacking this minion figure, just for the sake of clarity, and we'll see how his roll works out for us. So we have rolled 2 attack symbols with the melee attack, which is the sword, so that is very good for us. He has missed with 1, but in order to survive this, the newt we are attacking would have to roll both dice as defense symbols, and in fact only rolls 1 shield. Once an enemy is defeated, we remove that enemy from the map, and that will end Prince Colin's turn. Play progresses to Lily, our other archer. At this point, these enemies are occupied with Colin and must attack him. However, another archer may shoot into combat, so there is not a concern about collateral damage or friendly fire from firing into combat. Lily is going to roll to see how far she may move. She has rolled a 3 on the die here, so we will add that to her movement total, which in this case is 2, and she may move up to 5 spaces. Let's take a look at Lily's card so we can see what she may do. Okay, let's take a look at Lily's card. She has 2 attack, 2 defense, 1 lore, and 2 movement. She is not affected by mouse traps, and when she enters a previously unexplored tile, she receives 2 cheese. Her starting equipment is Lily's bow, and she has 3 health points. Here is her bow. When a minion defends against an attack from this bow, any cheese rolled is added to this mouse's stash instead of the minion wheel. So that will prevent us from getting some potential harm done to us by added in monsters that come if the cheese wheel gets filled up. So let's see how far Lily wants to move. She's probably just going to move up with Jakobe here. So 1, 2, despite her being able to move 5 spaces, that's plenty close enough for us. And she will attempt to attack one of these monsters. Unfortunately, unlike Colin's sword, her bow does not give her any additional attack. So we will roll the 2 dice that are her base attack stat, and she has 1 hit. The monster that she is attacking, the firebelly newt, will roll 2 defense dice. It has not rolled any defense, so that is good. Furthermore, it has rolled 2 cheese, and this is a good example of Lily's special ability here. When a minion defends against an attack from this bow, any cheese rolled is added to this mouse's stash instead of the minion cheese wheel. So that is very nice for us because cheese is what allows us to activate special abilities. So we will take 2 cheese tokens and give them to Lily. We will remove the minion that was recently defeated by Lily and place it off to the side out of play. Now there is only 1 firebelly newt left. However, it's his turn for revenge as he is next on the initiative track. For enemies, we roll to see what their movement is. In this case, the firebelly newt could move 2. There are no base movement stats for enemies, so that is all of the firebelly newt's movement. The rules for ranged enemy movement state that a ranged enemy will only move in order to be able to see a mouse or hero figure. In this case, clearly the figure can already see Colin, who's on the same space, staring him down, and thus will attempt to attack our fearless leader, Colin. Colin's basic defense is only a 1, however he has an additional defense from this leather breastplate. So he will roll 2 defense dice, and the newt will roll 2 attack dice. So the newt is in melee range, but either way there's only 1 hit coming out of this for the newt, and thus Colin may roll his 2 defense dice in order to see if he prevents the newt from hurting him. In this case, he does not prevent the newt from hurting him, and thus will take damage. At this point, we take a damage token represented by these hearts, and we place it on Colin's character card. He may take 2 more hits, and then he will be defeated and captured by enemies. Hopefully that will not happen throughout the course of our scenario. In any case, the firebelly newt's turn is done, and play passes to Tilda, our healer character. Similar to the other characters, we must see how far Tilda may move. So let's take care of that over here. She may move 2 plus her movement of 2 on her card here. So she has 2 attack, 1 defense, 2 lore, and 2 movement. She may also draw empathic power. So when another mouse on the same tile becomes poisoned, stunned, cursed, or webbed, immediately add 1 cheese to Tilda's stash. None of those status effects have happened to other mice during this encounter. Her starting equipment is a mace and a breastplate. Her mace does not add any additional attack with the symbol in the upper corner. However, it says when attacking with this mace, add 1 to this mouse's battle during that attack for each wounded mouse that is on the same space as this mouse. So if she shares a space with Colin, for example, here, who's on this space with the newt and is already wounded, she will get to make an additional attack in addition to her 2 base attack. So she can move now up to 4. So let's see how far we can get. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are in an adjacent space to these characters. You can see there's a fine little line here, but if the character's base can cross over that line, which in this case Tilda's can, it is considered an adjacent space to the characters we are trying to attack. So she will go ahead and attack the firebelly newt. Her base attack is 2. She is not on the same space as Colin, so she may not add the additional attack. So she will roll her 2 dice. She rolls 1 cheese and 1 ranged symbol, so she does not hit. We add the cheese, however, to her card, and play goes back to the top of the order here. Okay, so Jakobe is next up. Jakobe will roll to see how far he can move. He rolls a 1, which is added to his 3, so he may move up to a total of 4. He's not really interested in moving. In fact, he's going to take another action on this tile, namely the search action. In order to perform a successful search, he must roll an asterisk symbol on his search die. In this case, we have rolled this asterisk symbol and may now draw 1 card from the search deck, provided there are no special searches in effect on this tile. There is, in fact, a special search card for this tile. It is a bark shield. When a mouse equipped with this shield would receive an on fire status effect marker, discard this shield instead and do not place that marker. It also gives a +1 to defense. However, you have to be a particular class, the warrior class or the wild class, in order to use this. So in our party, the warrior is Colin and the wild class is Jakobe currently. So one of those 2 characters could use this, seeing as Colin is more likely to be in melee range with enemies, and we try and keep Jakobe back over here where he is. I would likely give this to Colin, even though Jakobe is the person that currently is holding it. In any case, Jakobe is now going to attempt an attack. He used 1 action to attempt that search. His attack is the 2 dice that we rolled last time. In this case, he gains another cheese, but does not actually hit. We can hope for the rebound effect of his boomerang to help us out here, and maybe take out our firebelly newt. It does not, so Jakobe's boomerang attack just flies off and misses and returns. In any case, play will now pass to Colin, who is right up close and personal with the firebelly newt. Let's roll Colin's movement die just for the sake of it, and then he will take a search action as well. He does not succeed at finding anything, so he will merely make his attack against this enemy. He rolls 2 cheese. This does not help us in terms of defeating the enemy, however it gives us an ability that we may be able to use later on. Play will now pass to Lily's turn. Lily is going to jump on the whole search bandwagon after rolling to see how far she may move. She may move an additional 2 spaces, so that will help us out in case she needs to get anywhere. And she will now attempt to search the tile. She indeed does find something. She finds a scroll here that says slow. Choose a minion card on the initiative track. Figures from that initiative card cannot move or attack until the next time the scroll's user takes a turn. She may use that at some point during our adventure. However, the adventure is still young, so we will just attempt to make her attack against the final newt here. Let's roll her attack dice. Recall that she has 2 attack. She rolls 2 swords, and seeing as she is still in ranged combat here, she does not hit our enemy, so there is no need for the newt to defend. At this point, the newt gets to take another crack at attacking Colin here. Rolls its 2 dice, and has 2 hits. This is not the sort of news that we would like. In this case, Colin may attempt to roll his 2 defense dice and see if he prevents some or all of the damage. He only prevented 1 of the damage, so he does take another damage. That isn't exactly the news we want, but we can live with that. Alright, let's roll to see how far the next person on our initiative track, Tilda, may move. She may move 1 plus her 2 is 3. Recall that she is right next to Colin on the board and to the newt, so she is within attacking range already, but she will move and close the range so that the newt may attack her instead of Colin, as Colin is fairly hurt. At this point in time, Tilda may roll 2 attack dice and try to hurt the newt. Tilda's mace does have one special ability that is going to help us out here. When attacking with this mace, add 1 to this mouse's battle during that attack for each wounded mouse that is on the same space. So Colin is our wounded mouse and is on the same space. So instead of the 2 normal attack dice that she would get, she will get a 3rd. Let's roll those dice and see if we can finally take care of the firebelly newt. That would be a stellar roll if we were attacking with ranged attacks. However, we have missed entirely. This ends Tilda's turn, and play will return to the top of the order with Jakobe. Let's see how far Jakobe can move and see if he can finally put this newt out of commission. So he has 2 plus his 3 is a 5 here, and he may now move should he so choose. He may not perform an additional search action since he has already performed a search action to find the bark shield. In this case, we're just going to stay put and make our attack. He has 1 possible hit, and the enemy has 2 possible defense. This newt is relatively unkillable, it would seem. He has rolled 2 defense, so he successfully defends against Jakobe's attack. Let's move on to the next person in the turn order, Colin, and see if Colin can finally help us out of our predicament here. We'll roll to see what Colin's movement is. He moves 3 plus his movement of 2 is 5. We're on the space we want to be on. He's going to try and take out this character here once and for all. Colin will roll his attack dice here. He has a potential of 3 attack. Let's see if he can hit. We hit with 2 of our attacks. The newt we are trying to defeat has a defense of 2, so it would have to roll 2 successful shields again to prevent any damage. This time the newt succumbs. We celebratorily remove its miniature from the board, and we have succeeded in defeating this newt. Okay, let's take a long view of the tile we are on here. This whole overlay that stretches into the next adjacent tile is considered to be one tile. What this means for us is that we must get off this tile to that leaf space you see on the second tile, and we must use that leaf to fall to the floor of the forest below. Once on that floor, a new encounter will start. Thank you for watching my overview of Mice and Mystics Downwood Tales. I hope you enjoyed, and check back later to see the results of my adventure.